I think we are good to go. Well, if we are, welcome back everybody to another crypto live stream. It's been a while. It's been, I think, like a month, something like that. I'm going to quickly wait for a couple of people to hop on in before I share my thoughts on the current market, which is interesting to say the least. It's been an interesting couple of days. Let's just put it like that. But I think a lot of you guys will be interested in what I've got to say because it's time to start strategizing for the next few weeks here. It's time to start planning it out, and hopefully over the next couple of weeks, do extremely well. However, I must admit, and I must be that person to tell you, that right now as we speak, we are in earlier phases of the bull market. At this point, usually things are not only fairy tales and bloomy, but because we went so crazy recently, everybody is fed up with this downturn, and many altcoins are down like 80, 90%. But we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about what we think, talk about what I think is best to go for. Everybody, if you're joining this right now, two things, like always. First of all, make sure you press that like button. I'm checking out all your comments. And put in the chat box where you watch it from. We already have 𝗕𝗪𝗧 from Brussels. David was the first to be here. Welcome, David. Crypto Word is in here. Hi. What's up, what's up, what's up? I'm just checking out the chat here if you're wondering, by the way. It's not anything too special. And like always with the stream, just waiting a few minutes for some people to hop on in before going in and diving in. Otherwise, we have to explain everything twice. So, yeah. If you're wondering why a stream, I don't know. Thought it was kind of funny. We are alive. You know, usually if I've got time for it, I'm like, why not just sit here and why am I so itchy? and go over a direct conversation instead of, you know, posting it and everybody seeing it like a while later. Anyway, let's see. All right. BV is also in. David's in from Brazil. All right. I think that's Brazil. Maybe it's actually a different city. That's Brazil. From London, Holland, Canada. Sup? What's up, man? Cape Town, Long Island, New York. Too Damn Dangerous says just sold everything. Franklin says market manipulation. Severi says, you think I should go 2x isolated margin on Gala right now? Keep that up. I'll talk about it a bit later. I've got some thoughts on that. Texas in the building. Sup, Dusty, and Virginia. All right, we've got a little crowd of about 150 people or so I think that is all right. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, what an interesting week it has been. Little back and forward just for the lulz. It's been hard. Not life, screw that. I'm talking about holding crypto. It's been hard because even though Bitcoin is at nearly record highs, I mean, we're at like what, 65,000 or so. It's not really that bad at all. It's hard because altcoins are down as much, right? This much, I should say. So instead of, you know, the Bitcoin being down a few percent, going from 74 to 65, it's not that bad. It's altcoins that have been bleeding super, super bad. Just to put it into perspective here, if we take a look at the monthly performance, there are some which have done some massive numbers, sure. But on the opposite side, some of the best coins over the last few months are down in the double digits, with Fetch, for example, being down 51% in a month. Oh, 49% in a month. AR didn't actually hold that one, but it's down 50%. Phantom is down 50%. Jupiter is down 43%. Gala is down 41%. Thor is down 40, or Rune, I should say, is down 42%. I think you get it. I think everybody looking at this gets that this is not really a good time. However, and here comes the kicker. Is that a bad thing or a good thing? Ultimately, we're all in here for the longer term, right? Just to get a grip here. How many of you guys are planning to sell within, like, I'm talking everything and never coming back within this cycle? So let's say within a year or so, maybe a year or two. Let's say a year and a half. I'm not talking about selling everything and then buying back cheaper. I'm talking about selling and never coming back. I'm going to check the comments here and see what you guys say for this one. How many of you guys have that as a goal? Ben will talk about it. He says it just keeps dropping. Unreal. It's not really that unreal. It's not really that rare. We'll talk about it. Barry says, 1.5 years for me. Alessandro says, no. Dan says, the past month or you go on about now, pump anytime. This week, next 24 hours, pump. What a load of crap. You streamers come out with now just talking about selling. You'll see, I think if you've been watching the videos, actually, you know what I always say. But again, just stick around, Dan, and you understand exactly my opinion. At the end of the day, please understand that there's no real merit or benefit to me sharing a story that doesn't really make sense. Obviously, the only thing I'm doing here is reporting on what I'm seeing, what I think of doing that is quote-unquote best. And ultimately, there's literally, just so we're keeping it real here, no reason for me to tell you, oh, it's probably going to pump. And when it doesn't, say, oh, no, it doesn't make sense. I don't get anything from that. All we're trying to do is hopefully make the best decisions with whatever info we've got at the time. So please understand that. Anyway, so let's see. John Note says, never. I will never sell all, says Battle. Holding at least next 2 years. I will do that when it's reached the value I want. Me. All right, so we got a couple of people left and right for, I guess, both camps. Now, for most people, if your thought process is that crypto basically is cyclical, so it goes up for a few years, goes down for, let's say, a year, goes up for a few years, goes down for a year, just perhaps like a stock market would or almost any asset or asset class would. From that perspective then, since we're still into the cycle most of us identify pretty early, just to put it into perspective, here's, I guess, a showing of it. What we established throughout the last 10 years is that we have, let's say, a year of negative price action, about 1.5 years of doing pretty good, another 1.5 years of doing amazing, before a year of downwards, a year of doing pretty good, a 1.5 years of doing pretty good, a 1.5 years of doing amazing, a year of bad, right? This has kept on happening time and time again. And one thing that we stated is that usually Bitcoin doesn't see a new all-time high before the halving. And the halving was, I think, April 10th. I don't quite remember exactly what specific date the halving was. Maybe it was April 1st, maybe April 20th. April, let's say, middle of April. April 10th, let's say. I don't quite remember. We usually say Bitcoin doesn't hit an all-time high before that. Matter of fact, it only does so a bit into the halving. Just to put it into perspective, here was the all-time high. Here was the all-time high back in 2017. So let's see here. That was roughly, how long is this? 75 weeks after the halving. Right here, we had ourselves the halving. And when was the all-time high? Does it say it anyway? 79 weeks after. Now we had the halving, what? 8 weeks ago, let's say, 9 weeks ago, something like that. And so theoretically speaking, this is where, so let's say 2 months ago, is where this pretty good phase ended. And now there should be, let's say 75, 80 or so weeks of just crazy bullish action. And if we just press play to see how things have gone, right now, just to put into perspective, right, whatever price action we're seeing here, it's not outside of the norm. And unless we see it drop to like 35,000, so not even 38, I'm talking like 35,000, it's still within the realm of what has previously happened. And I personally wouldn't really consider this to be something odd, weird at all, right? Just looking back at how things have happened before. Now things are expedited because this time around we saw an all-time high before the halving, and because now institutions are severely joining the game. But I will also add, let me quickly find it. If I can open it here for you, you will know exactly what I mean. Just give me 1 second to open this up right here. I will also add that right now, as we speak, the S&P also just keeps going higher and higher. And something that I don't have perfectly now for you, but that we usually talk about, is how whenever the S&P makes some crazy moves, Bitcoin usually is a little bit lagging, but does follow along. And now, ever since the S&P broke that all-time high and Bitcoin failed to do so, it basically kept struggling at that point. But if we're just looking at the range and looking at how Bitcoin has been trading, is it really that far out? Has it really been that crazy? No. Well, because if we look back, there's not that much that I am, I guess, fearful of here, comparing Bitcoin to the S&P, or let me rephrase that. Because the S&P is pumping so hard and so massive, I personally think that Bitcoin will follow suit rather quickly, but they have slightly different timelines here. There was only a few days in between, like 14 days or so between the high points of the S&P and of Bitcoin. And bottom-wise, there was like 12 days in between or so. But it's not too weird to have another couple of weeks off when the S&P starts pumping like crazy, right? It's been, let's say, a month or so of crazy bullish action. Or let's just say it's been, how long is this? About 19 days of crazy bullish action. For Bitcoin to kind of be lagging and start seeing that, let's say, for example, from June 30th on forward. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. That for it to lag, I don't think is too strange. But I understand that people look at this and think, well, even though that theoretically speaking makes sense, why is my portfolio down so much? And to that, the best thing I can say is everything, and I want to try to put it up here. If I can, I can just grab I wanted to grab a versus Bitcoin chart. We could just do, I guess, an ETH Bitcoin, just to put it into perspective. Everything has been falling versus Bitcoin quite recently. Like Ethereum was one of the strongest ones to stick around, but even that, over the past couple of days, has been falling so hard, and particularly when you start to look at more altcoins, so just not Ethereum and your biggest ones. Even Dusty didn't iron his shirt. Why do you think? Why do you think my name is Dusty? No, it's actually that type of shirt, but that's besides the point. Almost every single altcoin has been falling versus Bitcoin. I will, however, show you quickly, if I can, two things. Let me quickly grab it open here. I have to sometimes scroll through. One is keep understanding that it's not that weird for that to happen, for some corrections to happen in the midst of greatness, like I showed you in this more theoretical type of chart. Second of all, though, let me quickly, like I said, try finding it somewhere here. We also know that out of the phase of the bull market, Bitcoin first, Ethereum second, large caps third, altcoins afterwards. And where are we right now? Well, usually altcoins start flourishing when? Let's say if we're in a bull market, and the bull market starts here. Let's say December 2018, this bull phase started. It took 150 weeks, so let's say 3 years of bull market before 1 year of bear market, right? Our new bull market started when? Let's just say roughly December of 2022. It's been 70 weeks of crazy bullish action. That's already in the past. I think, like, let's call it 80 something weeks. Now we have another, let's say 70, 65 weeks or so of pretty crazy bullish action to go. And the midst might look annoying, sure, but it's only the last, let's say 30 weeks or whatever, that altcoins just go absolutely overzealous. For most of this part, it is Bitcoin being the best performer, which is why I always show you guys this chart of saying, in times like this, Bitcoin is definitely not bad to go for before switching over to big altcoins, before switching over to small altcoins. And maybe I'm playing devil's advocate. Maybe people don't agree with me, but I personally think a lot of what's going on right now is people also being afraid because of the whole meme coin debacle. I think a lot of money is being siphoned out of this space because of all these meme coins going so crazy, the mainstream hopping in, it being so exciting. Look at a Trump coin right now, reaching what? $500, $600 million worth of market cap with single-sided liquidity. So the guys, they could just rug it all, so to speak. It's not locked, nothing crazy going on. But it's getting so much enthusiasm that whenever it falls, which it's done a lot recently, a lot of those meme coins, people get kind of, ooh, since the rest of the market is also not, quote unquote, recovering. There have also been some big, huge meme coins like this one, which have gone from 500 million to 50 million. There have been a ton of new airdrops, which haven't performed the way that people expected it to, because they lost money on that. And I don't have the best way to show you this, I think, but perhaps I can. No, I cannot. If we take a look at the amount of cryptos that are out there in comparison to 2021, it goes so exponential. People are so divided over every single altcoin out there, even though the majority of things coming out are just really, really crap. And it's just people trying to always hunt for that next big thing. They just hunt. That very often people hunt trash. So that's, again, where we get a little reset, where people have to reevaluate their values. And we said that a few months ago, where all of a sudden valuations were getting into the billions of dollars for new projects where they didn't even have a product, they didn't really have any users. It was just VCs bidding up against each other. But now, as we are resetting everything, people getting a little bit more clear in the head and a lot of money flowing into Bitcoin instead of these stupid altcoins. Not against them. I'm just saying it's early for their phase, and many of them are too much money in it. Once we get that reset, I think things are ready to go again. But once more, if you're fearful of us crashing to zero, then all I can say is, well, we have difference of opinion about where we are in a cycle, or you just think it's not cyclical. And that's not bad, because everybody thinks differently of it. But I really have some high conviction, I think that's the right word, that this will play out the way we've described it for many, many months. And so from that perspective, all I care about is how low will it really go, to which point like my altcoins are at zero. Because even Core here, which is one of my biggest holdings, yesterday I was looking at it at like 160. Right now it's 127. It's down 20% in a day. Phantom, it was doing amazing at what? I think it was like 90 cents or something like that a few weeks ago. Right now it's 48 cents. And we can kind of toss that ball forward where even though we understand the greater theory, it is sometimes kind of annoying to see all your money go down like crazy, right? Anyway, let's be real. If this hurts you, though, if you're thinking, oh, should I sell everything? Is this bull market over? I don't know, man. I personally don't feel as if there's any reason to think that this time is going to be different and that things won't recover better from here. However, if your question is, should I sell everything to buy back cheaper? I personally think a lot of these altcoins are in a bad proposition, have a bad proposition, but I've explained that for a long time. I personally think it's always best to focus on altcoins when the narratives are there. So that means and I'll tell you when that happens. Again, I'm on the other side of things because for the most part, what we're doing is investing in upcoming coins, right? That's a lot of what I do. So when you notice the narrative shift where people are trying to ask for refunds, and we're not talking about just people, we're also talking about very big venture funds that have tons of money. They just don't want the investment anymore. Once you see that happening, it's like, ooh, wait a minute. Maybe this type of altcoin is not as hot for the next season, because many of these VCs, they invest for a few years, not for just the next couple of months. Mostly the lower ranked investors are investing for like the next few months, next few weeks, etc., because they're not patient enough. If we extrapolate that data, that I mostly feed to you because I see both sides, one thing I notice is the conviction is still there. Just the last few weeks, there's been less excitement because the market's less good. So people are less willing to lock capital up, thinking perhaps there's some more time for going down. That, again, is pretty much backed up by the fact that we are pretty high right now relative to where we usually are in this cycle. That does not, however, mean that within a few months, we won't be higher than where we are at right now. And so, scared? I'm not scared for the crypto market to just go down forever right now. What I'm mostly thinking of, though, is it smart to go for our bigger narrative altcoins, or is it better to wait? And when looking at the price right now, it is better, my personal thoughts, to stick to Bitcoin, stick to your big altcoins than smaller ones. And no, I am not really a big fan of trying to buy the dip of the dip of the dip with big chunks and going all in at one of these points. But I personally do believe that it's not that bad to just start layering into some of these higher conviction altcoins. Like, for example, just being honest with you here, like a Phantom, like a Core, things that for the longer term will probably do well. Because right now you're getting yourself like a 50% discount or 60% discount to where they were at a few weeks ago. And most of the proposition for the next few months has not changed, except for the fact that Ethereum ETFs might be coming in, but even that might have been calculated in before. And so this is where prices start getting interesting again, right? Because Core is down so much. Phantoms, I'm just naming a few that are down so much that it's starting to become too, how do you say this? I'm starting to become too greedy to just start grabbing them apart. Okay, so somebody says, what are you even saying? That we are at the start of the bull market? You've been telling this shit for the last 8 months. I will again show you, I don't want to get angry here, but I will show you the exact thing that I've been talking about here again. So yes, I've been saying this for the last 8 months because the last 8 months we've been in a bull market. Let's read it again, right? For anybody that still does not understand why I keep saying this for months in a row, because it takes 3 motherfreaking years, all right? Once more, you go down for 1 year, you go up for 3. So, oh, Dust, you've been saying this is 2023 beginning. Yes, because at 2023, the beginning, we were at the beginning of this bullish cycle. How long does it take? Again, let's calculate. 71 weeks plus the average of the last two-ish, right? So let's say 75 weeks. 71, 75, let's put it at 150 weeks, about 3 years. So when did the bull market start? Some might argue, oh, the bull market starts when your all-time high's been breached. Okay, cool. Or some say, oh, the bull market starts when it's only up every day. I consider the bull market to start when the biggest of the dips has been reached and it's up only, right? By the way, guys, I'm very calm. It's just a joke. I'm just laughing here. Also, I don't mind people asking questions. But no, I consider the bull market to start when the lowest point has been reached and it's starting to go up mostly from there. And again, let's also say one more thing. If you're thinking about selling everything right now, let's learn one very valuable lesson. Usually you buy when things are red and you sell when things are green. I don't understand people panicking when things are coming down so hard instead of thinking about it the opposite way. Well, perhaps it's time to start stacking in more. So at no point here do I think, oh, let me sell Bitcoin because what am I going to do, right? I think a good idea could be for some people to, I guess, go along the flows of some of the Twitter guys and have some shorts open as hedges. It's not that bad if you're feeling scared most of the time. But for me, I'm still just layering in more in the Bitcoin longs and mostly just going for it that way because I personally think at some point it's going to bounce hard anyway. And if you're not making a big chunk of profit on that bounce for Bitcoin, even the bounce just yesterday, then I guess we're just playing the game different. Perhaps I've been doing it too long. But yeah, that's my philosophy. And some people might say, Dusty, you said it was going to go up. It did go up yesterday. Oh, but it should go up more than 5% or something in a day. Why? That's like good enough for anybody. Like, for example, I'll just name one example, right? This is last week. Going down here from 65.1 all the way up, for example, to 67.2. If nowhere in the midst of this, you can turn a profit, sometimes I fear for people then in their trading strategies because that is thousands of dollars that Bitcoin just increased that you could have easily, had a good, I guess, flip on. Then again, if we're being realistic here and you have bigger swings, then right now it's 64.4. If we, for example, have another buy, and then at 62, and then, for example, at 57, and we go lower, just like we saw. Let's see here. When was that? Just like we saw, I don't remember exactly when that was. Like a few weeks back, we went to 56,000. I mean, yeah, like back then, people were really fearful too. It went to 56,000. Let's see if I can find it real quick. So start looking here. That was when? The 1st of May is when we went to 56,000. Again, that's exactly where everybody was also screaming, oh, it's over. Right now, we are still how much? Let's quickly check here. We are up still about 15% or so from prices that we saw last month. But for some reason, it just feels way more quote-unquote bearish because some of the altcoins are bleeding harder. Then again, in this phase of the bull market, that's not such a weird thing. And I don't think people are surprised. I think it's just that people are getting a little bit impatient because altcoins keep falling. And it's not really surprising. It's just saddening because we had a really hard bull run way earlier than we normally have it. I'm talking about altcoins going in such crazy margins and numbers that people got overzealous. They get too excited. They think, oh, it's going to go. You see, we had like a mini euphoria phase until like March. And yeah, I think it's just people have to reset again that this part of the bull run is not yet where altcoins go crazy. And for many, it's a learning lesson and a stepping stone, especially because if we compare to previous bull runs, right now there are what? A tenfold amount of coins out there relative to the previous run. I don't know the exact numbers. So Muzuraki says, can you explain why altcoins dropped? Okay. So let me, for the next time, explain it again. If we're looking at this chart, right, where do altcoins usually start flourishing? If you take a look at previous cycle, it's not where the accumulation phase starts. It's not, the beginning of this bull phase. It's usually this end piece, these last few weeks here where the altcoins really perform like crazy. Why? Because just like we saw throughout the last few weeks, when altcoins go so hard, usually they spiral so quickly out of control that prices and valuations go up so much that it implodes basically. It crashes itself. So at this exact point, people are more so realizing, I think, that we're not in that euphoria-based or that euphoric of a state just quite yet. We're still actually pretty early into the cycle. And because everything blew out of proportion by such crazy margins, you might not know, but recently, many shit projects, so bad projects were raising at $1 billion valuation. Monad, you know the valuation for that? I'm not sure if I am allowed to share this. $3 billion is what they're raising at. $3 billion. Have you heard of Monad? 90% of the people in the general crypto space haven't. Yet it's talking about raising at $3 billion, which it did, by the way. I'm not sure if that's public knowledge yet. But then at least you know now. Who cares? It just went so hard. But so early into the cycle. Anyway, so at some point, usually all coins flip over. But I think this time, I personally think it might also have more to do with the fact that Bitcoin is not making that new all-time high. And so, yeah, people are like, well, if Bitcoin doesn't keep pumping up, then this progression of phases isn't naturally going to occur yet. Right? It's going to take more time. So is the bull run canceled? No, I'd say unless Bitcoin drops like below, 34,000 or so, it's still very much within margin for just a normal progression. And again, it just depends on where you consider the bull market to be canceled. I personally consider it to be canceled. Perhaps, I guess, perhaps once we start breaking the average, because in this bull phase, we never close a candle below the weekly moving average, 50 moving average during a bull market. I guess, theoretically speaking, the moment that happens, it's canceled. Or, I guess perhaps if we see prices below like 40,000, I'd be like, ooh, yeah, that was probably it. But even then, if it recovers, let's say hypothetically, right? Let's say it goes to 40, which is wild. But let's say it goes to 44, which some people expect. It's 34% down from here. But then from that 44, it goes up to, let's say, 160 within, you can see it, right? Yeah, within the next few weeks. Looking at this chart in hindsight, it'll still have looked crazy bullish. I'm just trying to say here, then at what point was it really canceled? It's like saying that the bull market was canceled when the price went down 55% here. While it was happening, you might have thought so. Yeah, you might have thought so. But in hindsight, this is still just very much part of the bull market. It was 100 days of negative price action. People hated this probably. I was here, but I can't really remember actually. And then afterwards, it was how long? Let's just call this another half a year of just crazy gains. Anyway, point being, we're just gearing up. At the end of the day, there are so many people trading against one another here, which is logical. It always happens. There's so many people are trying to give you a certain narrative of, no, this is over. It's going to blah, 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 blah. But honestly, the whole value proposition hasn't really changed too much. It just got really, really high really quickly. And right now, it's a little bit of a reset where people get a reality check. But if we're really zooming in on things, the price hasn't done. Can I stop this? How do I get rid of this thing? Anyway, the price hasn't gone and done something so particularly bad. It's only that altcoins aren't performing as good as they were, which usually is pretty coherent with the way Bitcoin is performing right now. Sloppy Second says, can be a little bit hard to feel nothing where you watch your portfolio drop thousands of dollars in a week or two. Yeah, or in a second. First of all, you get used to that, I think. And second of all, that's the market. To make crazy sums of money, you have to be willing to lose a lot. Yes, it can be discouraging, but ultimately that's also where your profit lies. You can't, in my opinion, you can't only be like, oh, my portfolio is going down 10%. This is the craziest thing ever. When it goes up 10%, you're like, oh, this is nothing. It's like what comes up must come down. And theoretically speaking, whenever it comes down, that's your best opportunity to stack up for the longer term. Ultimately, I don't really care where it goes. Up or down, both are really, really nice. Down, you get to buy cheaper prices, and you get to see some of the fear in people's eyes, which is kind of funny. But ultimately, if things go up, it's also pretty nice because, you know, your portfolio is reaching all-time highs, etc. Some people are talking about ETFs. ETFs have seen some pretty crazy down days here last couple of days. Let me quickly pull them up for you. Let's see what the 17th was. Yeah, so since the 10th, there's actually been some pretty hefty outflows, except for BlackRock, which still theoretically speaking has an inflow of only $1.5 million. But most of the other ones have seen some outflows over the last week and a bit. Why? Could be a lot of different reasons, but I personally have no real data to show you why they're doing this. So I can speculate, but I don't think that's too useful here. Why are these institutions letting go? Could be a ton of different reasons. Could be that they're stacking up for Ethereum ETFs. It could be that they're happy to start shifting. It could be so many things. For the most part, though, it's always been outflows from Grayscale BTC. This is one of the first times that we're seeing outflow for example, FBTC, Fidelity's Bitcoin. Why? Not sure, guys. Not sure. Is it a bad thing? I don't think so. I think most, if not 99% of the people that are, let's say 95% of the people that are going for this, that are investing in these ETFs, have the goal to have this as either a side thing or for multiple cycles, not like a few days, a few weeks. I don't think too many of them are trading with these ETFs, and so I'm not too worried about the numbers here. I see somebody say, John says we have a mini bear market. No, I wouldn't necessarily say that yet. I would say that this has been a really interesting bull market, that's for sure, and that it might feel more like a bear market. Yeah. Mook says, can't be talking about a specific coin. Sure, Nosana and some other did explode, but some others dropped to zero. We're talking about the average altcoin performance. Average altcoin performance is shit right now. Let's see, Nosana is down to 285. It's down 13% today. Yeah, everything's fallen hard. And I'm going to be honest with you here. Even now, some of these altcoins, when thinking about it, I'm thinking about just selling them and trying to buy back cheaper. And also, Francisco says, yeah, worst bull market ever. Well, debatably. If you've been here since the quote-unquote start, so end of 2022, beginning of 2023, I think it's been one of the best bull markets thus far. I could argue that. It just went way quicker than usual. Usually this crazy performance is only way later. Why are AI coins flopping while AI stocks are pumping? That is actually a really good question. But I think it's just because it's been the narrative for Bitcoin and because many AI coins are essentially quite dumb. I've told you this before in many of my AI coin videos. I think the AI coin region, sector, is a really good one. That does not mean I think the cryptos themselves are good. I just think that's where a lot of hype is at, and those coins will perform well. If I'm being real, if we're talking about, oh, how useful are the AI tokens? They're pretty stupid, most of them. But it doesn't mean they won't do well. Doesn't mean they won't do well. But I guess the same question can be extrapolated to saying, why is this whole investment sector going down when the S&P just made a new all-time high? Sloppy Seconds says, this is still better than watching your Luna bag go from 120 Australian to 0.015. I didn't care too much about Luna. I cared very, very much so about UST. Those were the worst. I think financially that was the worst day of my life. I think I've definitely lost more money before, but that was the most shocking loss of money that I've ever had. I think. I would go home crying, but I'm used to it now. But that Luna situation, the whole UST situation, you could have seen it coming, sure, but that was a hard-hitting truck, man. That was like an 18-wheeler on like a very sunny morning. You know, you're just looking outside thinking, let me go stretch, then bam, flat line. Not fun, but hey. And also, I guess with these type of situations, I get rugged so many times a week. I think, let's say a month. Sometimes there's a couple weeks go by that I don't. But if you're doing the crazy investment strategies that I go for, which is just kind of spray and pray on a lot of different meme and garbage coins, very often you get an 8x. With some of the Tate coins, it's done really, really well. But the Euro one, like I bought two Euro Cup ones, both rugged. The Donald Trump coin, for example, now is really, really trendy. I'm too afraid to buy it because there's so many signals that are like rug. But if I just bought it yesterday when I said about it or I talked about it, it would have 3x'd already, which I would normally do. But this time there were so many red flags that made me think of not doing it. Point being again, though, if you're that type of investor in a landscape like right now, just an aggressive one, going for gains at any point, it doesn't matter. You could have still come out now the last couple of weeks with a crazy ROI, even though many coins were in garbage positions. I kind of don't want to show the coin because I made a video on Andrew Tate's coin on my TikTok, and it got, my TikTok deleted it instantly. So I'm like, maybe it's not loved, the Trump and Tate situations. Let me just look up Trump's coin though. It is at $290 million worth of market cap, $88 million worth of probably mostly one-sided liquidity. It's not locked, so you could just take it out any second he wants to. And the highest point that I see here was, I'll show it to you, was I think like 500 mil or something. Highest price seems to be 4 cents. Right now it's at 3, so about 25% or 30% higher than it is at right now. And right now it's pumping again at 300 million, so it's already pretty crazy. It was 400 million before. That's massive though. Somebody says it's down 30%. Yeah, but it's still up a lot from where I posted about it. And I saw this before, like maybe here somewhere. I think when I posted it was at like 0.014 or something like that. And I saw it way before, but I thought, this must be a scam, which I still think it is. But yeah, I wouldn't go for it. So naps, are we going into a bear market? As I described a few times by now, no, it doesn't necessarily seem likely that we're going to move into a bear market. Just looking at past performances, a bear market does not seem likely. Dusty, which live charts website do you use? TradingView or Dex Tools, perhaps? I'm not sure which one you're talking about. Uncle Adds' 2025 first quarter will fly to Valhalla. Yeah, I mean, the previous thesis was anyway to not sell any Bitcoin and stuff until we get to 2025. And I guess this is just a test of persistence and patience. A lot of people will give up here, but usually it's not a wise idea to give up in this type of market. You can definitely sell some and try to buy back cheaper, or you can just sell some for different strategies. But if you're getting out of crypto, stepping out completely, I don't think that's wise. But if you're, for example, selling some altcoins because you want to buy more this, that, I don't think that's a bad idea. Even though altcoins have bled so much more that relatively they're starting to become more and more juicy. But I personally am a little bit afraid to dive hard into altcoins because anybody who all in a while back into altcoins right now is at a really, really bad spot, unless that was meme coins. And my two sectors that I almost all into were AI coins and meme coins, which eventually changed over to mostly meme coins, which is, I guess, okay, because if it was AI coins, those bled like crazy. But let's be real, I have so much money in things like Nosana still, and it's messing up my portfolio by some big margins. There were a couple other ones I almost don't want to show you anymore. This is down to the freaking oblivion as well. Oh, they're cooking. I'm real with you. Garbage, right? 20 million from what? It was like 8 times as much before. It's been down only. They might come at me and say, oh, why are you talking so negatively about garbage performance? I can't say they're the only one, but they're down like 95% or 90% at least. That's pretty garbage. And there have been so many that are just, wow, that are down so much. I guess though, the RWA sector coins are some of the ones that stayed pretty well. But if I show you more of my RWA coins, you still think that some explosion just happened. It's been crazy, crazy times. Anyway, I think that was our little story for right now. Nothing will make you more money than a meme. Blockchain utility is a meme. I think for right now, memes are one of the best sectors. I will say, however, that it's a risky one. And you have to definitely spend a good amount of time to, I guess make the majority of the money out of it. But in my own humble opinion, by the way, you see, this is where real comes to light, huh? Who wears pants when you're recording a video? Yeah, no. I still think the best course of action right now is either have high conviction, buy dips for these altcoins. It's similar to getting yourself a good OTC deal where you're buying things at a discount with some vesting. If let's say we erase this month period, right, the last month from our timeline, would it have been wise to buy all these altcoins at like a 50% discount? If somebody gave you this proposition in December and said, hey, in 3 months from now, will you want a 50% discount again, knowing what you know, or I guess maybe in March, will you want a 50% discount for most of these coins, knowing what just happened? What we saw before was crazy gains almost every single week, day after day after day. With that knowledge in mind of how crazy a bull market is, with seeing that, do we now want ourselves a discount to be able to load back up for the next run? And I guess if that stays in your head here, then yeah, it's actually not bad to just start going crazy on altcoins and buying. It just takes some conviction because what comes up must come down, kind of. Anyway, a couple of last questions. Is it BlackRock the root cause of the current crash? No, they're not selling as much, but they could be manipulating it. Obviously, nobody knows about that. Dusty, I always see Burger up a lot over the years. Do you know about the coin? I have never heard of that. I am not sure what you're talking about. So no, Burger. No. Maybe just a meme coin, a burger coin or something. GTA6 says 𝗏𝗏, what do you think about it? 𝗏𝗏 is very utility sense. So yeah, solid. 𝗏𝗏 is good when the market's good. It's not like outside of the realm. But I wouldn't necessarily go for 𝗏𝗏 over many other altcoins. It's not that particularly special. 𝗏𝗏, more utility based. And utility coins took a really big dump last couple of weeks. So no, they're not particularly in good spots, but yeah, they're, I guess, okay. There are more people without money than people with. Oh, without money than people with. Yeah. Yeah, I guess there are. 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗏, no retail drive this price. The price moved from by players. You think Bitcoin 1 trillion is retail like you and I? No, nope. Big money player. Ultimately, we all matter very little in the grand scheme of things. A lot of the price action goes way beyond our heads, and all we can do is adapt to whatever's happening, whatever those people are deciding for us, huh? But yeah. Guys, if you're not done yet, make sure you press that like button. I think a lot of you guys have been enjoying the stream. At least I hope so. We've had a couple of people come on by, and most of you guys have watched the entire stream, which is nice. A lot of you guys came on in and have watched for a long time. That is good. I'm happy to see that. Definitely happy to see. Yeah, that's pretty juicy. If you guys have any questions, just drop them down below. I usually check through every single comment every single day. But also, you can always jump on the Telegram or tell me something there, or go to Twitter and type something there. You know, don't beg for money, I guess, like most people do. But if you just have anything, you know, like, hey, talk about this, right? I always take a look at it. So, you know, I always appreciate you guys giving the info back. And I think that's it for a little explainer stream of what I think is going on and what my plans are. Which is just, I'm going to buy the freaking dip of the dip because I ain't care. I don't care. But if you're afraid, accept the consequences over the next few months. Peace out, everybody.